Today we're going to be painting this lovely leprechaun gnome. His name? Seamus Shaughnessy Ryan O'Malley. That's what I named him. What will you name yours? First thing I did was I got my pencil, and even though I'm going to paint over it when I do the background, I want to get an idea of placement for my little guy here. And when I make a gnome, I start honestly with the nose. How crazy is that? I'm going to take my pencil, and I've decided I'm coming from the center and up a little bit, and I make an egg. Okay, basically it's just an egg. Okay, so from there, I'm going to come over to the side. You see I drop down a little bit, not at the very top, I drop down. And I come over to the side over here. And I'm going to put my gnome hat on. And today he's half gnome, half leprechaun. So I'm gonna come up here. Come down, and I'm going to come up here and down. I did it that way, and we'll know that that is where it flips over when we're putting our pattern in. So from there, it's even almost, we're almost done actually. And I'm just going to come down here. And I may change that shape of his beard when I'm painting, okay? And we just, let me see, come right down. Yeah, I think I am. I'm just gonna maybe bring it out like that. I give him his little shoes. And they look like potatoes. And then I have another potato over here. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to paint around him, but I know he's there for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my, let me give him his hands. Actually, I'm going to put a shamrock in here. And how do I do an easy shamrock? It would be a circle and another circle. And another circle. And we're going to hide over those lines, so I'm going to come out a little bit. And that's why we, get that there. That's kind of like we draw it in. And I made it a little smaller than I'm actually going to have it. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, going outside those lines, and then I'll put the hands in that's holding the shamrock. So let me grab my paint and my brush, and I'm going to go with a large brush. Let me just wet it while I'm over here. And this is what my palette looks like. So I have yellow in 2 spots, red, blue. I'm sorry, red, blue, and white. Okay, and I did that because my background is going to be kind of a white and yellow kind of look. So I'm going to grab some yellow here. Drop it there, grab some white. I'm just putting it there. I'm not really blending it very well. I like to be surprised. And I'm gonna go in this kind of circular motion. And I'm gonna go over my lines. By going over your lines, you can be assured that you're gonna have a complete seamless transition. Grab a little more white in there. A little more darker. And I went with the yellow because it's reminiscent of gold. And I kind of like that for our background. And by just bringing the white in here and there, it gives it a little more interest than just a flat yellow back. Get a little bit more. And again, that's circular motion. Now, if you wanted to paint your background first and then draw it on, that's fine. But since our little fella is taking up so much room, really don't even have to. Okay. I'm just getting our paint on our canvas. Okay. Of course, we do our sides as well, right? Sides, top and bottom. I know I sound like a broken record because I tell you that every single time we paint. But it, you know, bears repeating in case this is the first painting we've done together. Just so you know. Okay, a little bit more. I'm just gonna come straight up yellow. And that's the fun about this. You can just, you know, you put a little white there, put a little yellow, put a yellow and white. And it just gives it, see the movement of the brush strokes makes a difference. Because again, it's giving you some idea of what we're looking at. That it's not just, again, like I said, that flat background. I'm gonna come over here on the other side. Start to bring it up, a little bit of white in there. Maybe when I'm done, I'll put a little grass under his feet, but for now, we're just gonna go with our background. And like I said, I'm going over the edges a bit. Why? Because I can. I'm doing that so that there's a nice seamless transition when we put the rest of our colors in. Okay. Actually, it doesn't take very long when your main focal point takes up so much of the canvas. Again, I want that rounded feel to it. And a little bit of yellow and white. And I like to play around with backgrounds. I think it just adds a level of interest. And, you know, you may find that you want to do a rounded background, maybe something a little more hash mark kind of thing, or maybe a herringbone. Okay. But play around, decide. Okay. I think I'm gonna come over here. I think I'm gonna just take up some straight up yellow and drag it around. Again, not any rhyme or reason, just giving it a little, like I said, a little bit more interest. Maybe a little darker in some spots. Okay. All right. I like it. Yeah, I like it. There's a little bit of a clump there. We don't want that clump on there. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry up. And I'm going to I'm gonna wash my brush. And I know one of these days I'll show you what my water table looks like, because I have 6 cups of water over here. A few reasons. One, I want to have a different cup of water for my light colors, and another one for my dark colors, one just for white. And the others I just keep, you know, swapping them out. So now I'm gonna come in and we're going to do our shoes, okay? So our shoes, well, you know, I'm not gonna do our shoes because I don't have any black yet on my, you notice I didn't put black on here. And again, if this is the first time you're painting with me, I don't put any black on because there's always the chance I'm gonna go into the black by accident, and I don't want that to happen. I'll usually put black on when I'm done, you know, with every other color, or I'll just use a separate black palette or a black right out of the cup, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is we have a lot of blending because we're doing oranges and we're doing green. So I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do his beard. And how do we do his beard? Even though it's a lot of area to cover, I'm gonna swap out from my biggest brush to another one. It's a mid-size. It may be the biggest one you have, and that's fine, but I like this size for getting in here. Larger the brush, more coverage, not a lot of control. Medium-sized brush, medium coverage, medium control. Tiny brush, tiny coverage, but tons of control. So right now, I'm gonna go in here and we're going to make some orange for his beard, okay? And how is that? Some yellow, and move it over here, away from the blue, and some red. You notice how I didn't just put it all into one color? You do it like this in sections. This way you can decide when you have the color that you want. And then you can, and I always take from the side, never directly in the center. And this way you don't have a lot of waste, okay? So I want our orange beard to be very orangey, not as much, not really very red, a lot more orange, a lot more yellow in there, okay? I'm gonna mix that in there. Now, if I wanted to lighten it up at all, I could just add a little bit of white and that would brighten it. But I'm kind of happy with the color I have. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm going to bring down our beard, right down into the bottom of where his shoes are. Okay. And I'm coming around the nose. And this is our first layer. You'll see when I do paintings, we have a lot of layers in here. And I'm going over our shamrock. That's no big deal. I put it there for placement. Some water. Okay. See a lot of these stroke marks in here. That'll go away. Actually, if I add the tiniest bit of white, get a little bit more coverage. You have a lot of those stroke marks. Okay. And that's our first coverage of our beard. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry up a little bit. I'm going to just blow on it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some straight up yellow and just drag it in. Not looking to change the color so much. I'm just looking to give it some more coverage, another layer of depth. Another thing I'm going to do is I want it to be not such a straight coverage. I want it to have like a little bit of look like hair, right? So I'm going to drag my brush outwards a little bit and down. Okay, so even that little bit kind of changes it up a bit. Okay, keep going. I'm going to add a little bit of white over here, taking some of my orange and bringing it over, just because I think it needs a little bit of something to hold on to. You see? Otherwise, you see a lot of the lines. This is just going to add some opaqueness. Opacity is the word I saw yesterday, meaning opaque. You'll find when we're painting, I paint a lot of, layers. I also will start somewhere and say, I don't really like that one, because it's not like I've painted these before. If I'm painting it with you, usually it's the first time I've ever painted the piece. There's some that I've gone back into the vault and brought out and will paint again so I can videotape it, but it's very, very rare. And you'll see when I put the shoes in, I'm going to lose a little bit of that, but we'll go back and fix it. Okay. Now you can do your beard any color you like. If you want to be a more traditional gnome, you can do a white and gray beard if you like. But I wanted the orange for St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so you see how we're getting these levels of color, of interest, and that happens when you do these quick stroke marks. You see I'm just going like that. That gives you that illusion of hair. And I got some up in my hat, that's fine. And again, this is one of those pieces where you can play with it for days. You get done 10 minutes, your choice. Okay, so I'm liking that. And I'll bring it a little closer so you can get a better idea. See those marks? Yes, it does resemble hair. So that's perfect. Maybe he's a little long in the tooth, as they say. Maybe he's a little getting old. We've got some gray in there. Don't know yet. Okay. So kind of like that. I'm not going to fib. And the good thing about it is, again, like I said, I can go just take some straight up yellow and bring it in. And go and get a little bit of red and put that over that. Or go back into the orange that we had initially. Want to have a little darker. But it's that strokes, those quick stroke marks, that are really going to give you that idea that it's hair. And I've done a bunch of gnomes. I love them. They're very popular right now. Back in the 90s, the thing was geese. Never forget. Everybody had geese curtains and geese on their front porch, and it was just popular. Well, staying with the trend, we're gonna hang out with our gnomes for a while. Okay, so I like that. A little bit more red in there. And I want it to have that little curve. See how it's coming in a direction? Okay, I finish up my sides. I'm gonna come back in here, like I said, grab a little bit what's left in my orange and yellow, add a little bit of white to it, and come out here. See that quick motion? That's what gives us that hair on the side. Come over here, do the same thing. So you're coming down, but you're going out, just slightly. Okay. And later on, if I want, I'll just take straight up white. And then just blend it in a little bit. Again, just add a little bit more definition. So I'm gonna stop playing with that because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just playing with that. I'm gonna rinse out my brush and we're gonna move along. Okay, so now this nose I'm gonna do last. Why? Because I wanted to go around this and this. I wanna make sure it's gonna cover that. The same thing with my shoes. I'll probably maybe do a little grass down here, then I'll put my shoes in. Okay, so right now we're gonna go up there and we're gonna do our hat. Our hat is going to be green. Shocking, right? So I'm gonna take some yellow, bring it over here, take some blue, bring it over here, okay? And I'm just gonna blend it. Let's see what color green we get. Well, that's nice. Wow, first time out, I lucked out. I got a green I like. Usually I'm playing around with it, adding a little yellow, adding a little blue, but I'm not, I like that. I just need to add some more because I don't have enough. I want to get as much in there as I can right now. Always taking from the sides, never dumping right in the middle. Okay, and again, this is your preference, whatever color green you want. It could be light, it could be dark, it could be whatever. Okay, so I'm going to come up here, and again, my strokes are going to go in the direction of which my hat's going. And it's going to come past my beard and out. And the strokes are kind of important, the direction, especially when we come over to here. And you'll see why. So it's coming over. You see I'm just covering over where my pencil mark is. That's another thing, reason we waited till it was dry. Okay. And this is a nice dark green. It's gonna be my first coat. Okay. Okay. And see, this is coming straight up, right to where our curve is. and then go back into the curve. Get some water on my brush because it tends to dry out a little bit. And like I said, because this is the first coat, it's not terribly upsetting if it's a little streaky. My next coat will be fine. Go around my nose. And it came around, it went down. What I love about paintings is that when I was a little girl, actually everybody I knew, when the holidays would come or the seasons would change, my mom would change out the curtains. So we had winter curtains, we had summer curtains, if sometimes had holiday curtains. And I believe paintings can do the same thing. Bring them out for the holidays, you know, have that 1 or 2 spots on the wall and keep switching them out. You don't need to keep painting up all year long. If you want to change it up, do so. This way you can paint as much as you like. You don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I have too many paintings. Where am I going to put it all? Like I said, have a couple of those hooks on the wall and change them out. So this little guy I'd probably put up right after Valentine's Day. And I think for Valentine's Day, I'd probably hang up my, let me see what I have, my cardinal. And because my cardinal is right on, has a little heart on his tree house, on his birdhouse. Okay, so there's my first layer for my hat. Okay, so let that dry up a little bit. I'm really liking my beard. Always a plus if you like it, right? And I'm just gonna blow on here a little bit. Now, you know what? Maybe I don't want his shoes to be black. Maybe, why don't we make them brown? This way I'll show you another way to blend, okay? So, I have some of this green over here. I'm gonna put it over here because I'm not gonna use orange again because I already got where I want. I can always have another spot. So we have a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, mix a bit there, a little bit of yellow, and we blend. And that's going to give us brown. Okay, I have a lot of red in there, so I'm going to grab a little bit more of the yellow, always from the edges, and blend it in. Nice. And you'll get a color you like and you're happy with, and you can go from there. Now another thing, put this here, get all the paint out of there, is if I didn't want it this dark, I can add a little bit from the edge, a little bit of white, and that'll just lighten up my brown to like that. Okay. And that'll be my shoes. Maybe I'll add a little bit more blue. Again, you just play around with it till you get the color you like. I kind of was happy with the color before I put the white, but I did want you to see the difference of how you can, you know, make it work for you. Yellow. Okay. Cleaning up my brush. Ordinarily, I'd mix this with, say, a palette knife or a stick, but I don't know if you have any of those at home, so I want to be able to do it with stuff that you have available to you. Okay. So let me get that on here. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to just go up and down so that it looks like the beard, you know, I'm gonna come down and around. Okay. I come over here and do the other one. And again, I'm gonna come underneath my around and back. Okay. And you'll find when you're putting your paint down, you may have to let it dry between layers. Otherwise, instead of putting stuff down, you'll be picking it up and taking it off. Okay, I think he needs to have his little shoe needs to go up a little bit further on there. Okay, so that's my little guy. That's my shoes. I'm gonna let that dry up a little bit before I put the next layer. And there will be a next layer because right now I can still see through it a little bit and we don't want that. I do have my handy dandy little heat tool. See, it says heat tool. And I like to show you it doesn't take a long time at all. Very slight. You see over here? A little bit, not tons, but that's all you need. And you could use a blow dryer or you can just let it dry on its own. I do this just to expedite it so I don't have to cut away from our video. Again, I'm going to add a little bit more down here. Just cover up those spots. Same thing over here. Okay. So I'm happy with my shoes for the moment. Okay, I'm going to just let it blow here for a little bit. And I'm going to move on. So I'm going to wash out my brush. And you always want to wash out your brushes in between. Don't leave them in the water if you can avoid it. But sometimes I've had no choice if I was teaching in person that I had to leave it in the water just to get to the next step. Or I should say myself, have people leave it in the water so they can get to the next step. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to layer in my nose and my hands. Actually, my hands I'm gonna do after I do my shamrock. So until I do the shamrock, the hands are gonna be left alone. Maybe I'll even leave the nose alone. How about we go and do the shamrock, okay? So, because I'm gonna need green again when I do my next layer on my hat. Right now I'm gonna switch up brushes. I'm gonna get something a little bit smaller. Still not my super small line brush, but just something tiny to go in there. So again, my yellow and blue actually, they ran into each other. Okay, so I'm gonna just mix that up there. And I'm just blending. I'm gonna add a little bit of white for two reasons. One reason is to make it a little, have some base, something to hold on to. Plus I want it to be a little bit lighter. I think I have enough. I'm gonna make sure I have a little bit more than enough. because you really don't have to go back and forth and try to blend and, you know, recreate a color. Or if you just do it all at once, much better. A little bit more yellow. Okay. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make those 3 circles that we discussed. So I'm going to come down here from the nose. This could be off sides, whatever. I'm going to come down here from the nose and I'm going to make a circle. And I know my orange is already dry, right? First circle. I'm going to come down here and make another one off to the side. Actually, I'm going to put this down here so it doesn't move on me. Okay. And I'm going to make another one over here off to the side. And that's just the beginning, okay? Because we know it's going to come up a little bit. Just want to get that base down there. Again, a few layers, right? That's what we do, layers. So that's on there. I'm going to let it dry up a little bit, like we said. I'm going to add a little bit more white to it now, for the reasons that we want to make it a little bit lighter. But again, we want to have that base so it covers. Okay, just a little bit wet. Do it quick once. Literally less than 5 seconds. And I'm gonna add some more in here. And we have our circles. And now I'm going to show you how to really make it more into a shamrock. So when we come out from our sides, it comes out a little bit and gets a little wider on the edges. Same thing at the top, it comes out a little bit, comes a little wider, and then back down. So you see, we start with the circle and then we build on it. Same thing over here. Come from a circle, make the outside a little wider. So all these little tricks will really help you when you're doing other paintings by yourself, or you're trying to achieve certain looks and effects. I always say, don't just, you know, it's not just for this one, it's for other stuff too. And you could just keep going, make it as big as you'd like. And of course it would have that little line coming down, little stem, like that. Again, we're gonna let it dry up a little bit. Now, we have this great hat up here. And we're gonna go up there in a second and play around with that. I'm just gonna change my brush, gonna wash this one out really well, right? And I'm gonna make a lot more green. So this is gonna have a lot of yellow, a lot of blue, maybe a little bit more yellow. And I'm just gonna play around with it, make some green. Again, these are the colors that I'm making it. You can make whatever color you want. If you want your leprechauns to be purple and pink, you could do that, by all means. But I'm being a little bit on the traditional side today. Okay, I'm also gonna come off to the side like I did before, grab some white and bring that in. It doesn't have to be completely blended if you don't want it to. And I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to cover over this green now. This was just our base green. come down here like that, out and around. And the great thing about this is because I have that base green down, if I didn't cover it the 100%, you're not going to be able to tell because there's green underneath. Okay. Come across the nose and up. Again, with the strokes making a difference. Okay. You see by going over that. See how we have that seamless transition between the background and our whatever we're painting? I love that. A little water on my brush. Sometimes you'll find your brush is going to just start to drag, your paint will drag. And if you don't want that to happen, add a tiny little bit of water. Not so that it's running around, it's just really basically to wet your brush. And that'll help the brush glide over your canvas. But like we said before, strokes make a difference. So. Okay, so you see you have some movement in there, the way the strokes are going. Okay. Also gives it kind of a look of some shadow. And then we're going to get to that part too. Because again, we do our paintings in layers. First layer is really basically just to get paint down on the canvas. Now you see that green I had underneath there? Kind of leaving it showing through. So again, you can see the way the hat fell over. Okay. So you see we have a lot of that going on. I think I'm going to drop, because it comes down really low over here, I'm going to drop my hat a little bit lower down here. And I'll have to let that dry up a little bit. I'll put another coat on there because it wasn't there originally. See, so you can always go back and fix things and adjust. Okay. The more I look at him, when I was a little girl, bazillion years ago, this very reminiscent picture here we're doing today. Talk about Mommy's curtains. But we had a TV show called Captain Caveman. And if you Google him, you'd be surprised at how much my gnome resembles Captain Caveman. Nice. And this is going to work out well because I'm going to put a little cuff on my, even though you can kind of see it right now, you see the difference? Put a little cuff on my, my hat there. Okay, so let me see, where am I? You have to excuse me, I just have to turn it a little bit. I'm literally painting sideways so that you can see it. One of these days I'll get all that really cool camera equipment over my shoulder and I can paint straight ahead. That would be fun. Really, it would be. Okay. I think I'm gonna do my cuff last. So now what you can do is you can put dots on there, you can put stripes on there, you can put zigzags. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reserve some of my green paint. I'm going to bring it over here, okay? And I'm going to add, see I took a little bit there, add a bunch more white. And blend it in a little bit. And I think I'm just going to leave him over here and use him in a second. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my super light white, because I think I'm just going to maybe make, I don't even know. You know, let me get a smaller brush. That'll make a decision easier. Let me get my line brush. Okay. So I took a smaller brush with a flat side. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab some of that green and maybe make a line. Like a stripe. And this is where I really want you to make this your own. Okay? You could decorate your hat any way you'd like. And make another line up here. By not going straight across, you're getting the idea that there is a curve to this hat, that's rounded. And I went with something, just a lighter version of the color we're working with, because I didn't want it to be super, super different. Okay, bring it down a little bit. Okay, usually on a, you know, that's off a little bit. So just trying to get this line in here. Okay, the reason I did it in a lighter green is because if I didn't like it, I could just go over with the other green and you wouldn't really notice the difference. But most leprechauns have a hat with a buckle on it. And the buckle would be somewhere up here. It would come across, come over here, and then back down. Okay, I'm gonna just paint in where I would put the gold for my buckle, because the other part's gonna be black. And I don't want to have to go over black. It'll just be easier if I go over this light green with my gold when it's time. But like I said, that curve is important. A little curve in my buckle. Beautiful. Okay, so he's really starting to look like a leprechaun. I wonder if leprechauns and gnomes are related somehow. Leprechauns, gnomes, elves. You know, I wonder if they're union. I don't know. But again, I'm keeping in that little bit of a curve, which is going to denote the curve of the hat. Okay, so I'm going to wash out my brush. Let that dry. I'm going to come down here, check, see how everybody else is doing over here. Okay, my My, what is that? My shamrock's doing okay. My nose is okay. My shoes are looking good. Get back up there and do that yellow in a bit. What do we need down here? Maybe some grass, okay? So with that, what I'm gonna do with my grass is I'm going to take a mid-sized brush. You could do your small brush, your medium brush, whatever you like. You're painting, what you feel comfortable with. That's what we're gonna call it. What you feel comfortable with. And I'm gonna show you a great way to make some grass here. So I'm gonna take some blue over here, a little bit of yellow, right? You notice I'm not mixing it up terribly. Mixed up because I don't really want it. Need to get rid of some of that blue, but let me see, more yellow. Now we're looking good. A little bit more yellow. As you can see, my plate gets very full very fast. One of these days I'm gonna get a glass palette. I'm gonna be so happy, so excited, okay? So right now, I have a few different colors on my brush. And what am I gonna do? Remember that strokey motion I was showing you before? You can go up, you can go down, whatever you like. And because we have so many different greens on our brush, on our plate, that's excellent. We just keep grabbing different color greens. Always do these sides, right? Grab some more, come down. Going behind the shoe, okay? But a little bit on the front of the shoe. You can come up a bit. But again, it's all about those strokes. Well, I mean, you could use the same color, but each stroke is going to give it a different effect. And we want to have lots of fun colors in there. I guess I'm in here, right up into my beard. You notice I'm not just going straight across. I don't want that. I want to have those strokes, even filling it in. And okay, grab a little bit more yellow here, a little bit darker, see? All those different shades. When it comes to going underneath, that's a different story. Maybe he's on the other side of the rainbow. Maybe he's found his pot of gold. Who knows? Where's my green? Huh, there we go. Now let's just say you have, I'm gonna kind of, not mess it up. I'm gonna make it where I don't want it. Okay, so I don't want it like this, right? See how it's just a solid green now? How do I fix that? Oh, I did it by accident. Just go back in and draw it up like we were doing before. Fixes it right up. And again, more layers of interest. And that's what each layer does. Each layer gives you a new version of interest, a new layer of interest, I should say. Something else to occupy the eye, to keep the eye busy. To find something new. It's like watching a movie. You know, you could watch the same movie 10 times. Each time you look at it, you get something new out of it. Well, that's what layers on a painting do. Okay. And the fact that our background's yellow is kind of helpful, being that's the color, you know, family we're playing in, the yellow and the green. I'm gonna keep going. It doesn't have to be even. I'm gonna think he's out in the lee somewhere. The park, like I said, the other side of the rainbow. Okay, so you see how that's has all that different going on there. Now, of course, I do want to go across the bottom. So excuse me while I just flip them on a side and get this part done down here. Now, even when I'm coming off the bottom, I'm going this way. Brush a bit. Get some more paint. Okay. I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm not in my regular studio. It was commandeered for another purpose right now. Hopefully I'll get it back in February. And then it'll be a lot easier to come to you and bring you great stuff. I won't be painting from the side necessarily, and I won't have to reach across to get my paint, my water, etc. Oh, wrong one. Okay. Like I said, this way, it's still coming up. Or down, I should say. I can say down too. Okay, we're just going to come across here. Okay, let me just get this over here. Then I'm going to let it sit here for a little bit and dry, and I'll be right back after I wash out my brush. So I finished painting the bottom of the canvas with the grass. That's all done. Let me make sure I put it back in the right spot here. And everything else is dry. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paint, actually I'm going to paint my buckle, okay? So my buckle is going to be gold, aka yellow, and I have this, it's a smallish brush, let's say. It's a small brush in respect that it's not a liner. I'm gonna do it this way, but it has a nice little sharp edge on it, and I'm gonna come in here and paint over, that light green that I put in, okay? If I put white under here, it would be so bright, it wouldn't really look like gold. This is just light enough, the green background, to make it look a little bit more muted, like gold or brass. Well, I guess it'd be gold. He's a Leprechaun Gnome. Okay. I'll be painting lots of gnomes. I've already picked out a few more. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. I like it. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry up a little bit. Again, my 2 seconds, right? And rather than come back to it, I want to do that now so that I don't have to change out my brush, wash my brush. I want to just be able to take care of it. Perfect. Now, just put another little coat on top of that. Okay. I see that curve again. That's important to let you know that it's going around something. It's not just flat. Okay, so I'm done with that. I'm gonna let it sit, I'm gonna let it dry before I come in and put the black. Right now, I'm going to come back to, I'm happy with my shamrock. We're gonna put a little highlight on that in a bit. I think it's time to do my nose and my hands, okay? Now because, and thank goodness they're all dry, because I have to go over the orange of the beard, I'm gonna first do the hands in white, okay? And all it is, it's, let me see how I'm gonna do these hands. Let me see, hold on. Let me just, okay, I'm back. I just wanted to make sure that the way I was gonna show it to you is the way we're gonna do it. Sometimes I have to refer back and I didn't have my reference sheet in front of me. So we're going to almost like a mitten. Okay, so the bottom of the hand there. If you want to consider it like a heart on its side, that may be an easier way to reference it. I'll show it to you, see, like a heart on your side. Let that dry up a bit. I'm going to do the other side. Again, doing it the same way. So the heart will go like this. And that's where our hands are, holding that little shamrock. Okay, and this has a little bit of orange coming up into the nose area. I'm just going to get rid of that. A little bit of white, a little bit here, just to cover over where it's going to be a little bit of a lap. Okay, so I've got my hands on there, just in the white right now. We'll give it a flesh tone in a bit. And again, I will throw in the link on how to create different flesh tones from alabaster to ebony. And you can make it whatever you want it to be. I think everybody should be represented. I hope you guys get that through my paintings. Okay, so that's done there. I'm going to mix a flesh tone. Just wash out and brush. And I'm going to make it the same way that I made the brown. And then I can lighten it if I want, or I can, you know, make it however I want. So I'm gonna take a little bit of, and I need such a little small amount, okay? Just take a little bit of blue. Very small amount of blue. A little bit of that yellow off the side. Mix that in there. Take some red. Mix that in there. Some more yellow. Okay, I'll lighten it up a bit. Some white. So you see how you get a much more exacting color when you mix all of those colors together, as opposed to say red, white, which make pink and a little bit of yellow. Or, you know, if you have brown or you have a skin tone you want to use, by all means use that. But that's where we are right here. I'm going to make a little bit more. I'm happy with the color, but I'm going to make a little bit more because, you know, I have this whole nose to do and I have the hands. Maybe make it a little bit pinker. Add a little bit more red in there. Okay. I'm going to come in here, do my first coat dry, right? We always make sure. And again, I don't want to drag across, so I'm going to come on and do this side first. And I just realized because of the orange hair and the beard that I'm just going to even it up on this side. But maybe I'll go back and just maybe put gloves. Yeah. And you see, as I'm doing things, I change it up as I'm going along. I'll save that skin tone for the nose. Leave this here, come back and maybe paint that white. Okay. I'm just adding a little more white to it. Make him a little bright guy. It's always important to make enough beforehand. Doesn't always happen. I'm gonna start over here. I'm gonna come up, and you'll notice that when if I put my tip of my brush on here, that's what I get. If I lay my brush down, that's what I get. So see the difference? So I'm gonna bring it around and I'm gonna lay it down and bring it across. Same thing down here. Just gonna ring it around. It's gonna be my first layer. Because you see there's a lot of blue showing up. That's what's stuck in my brush. So I'm definitely gonna have to go over it again. And I will, happily. If this was, if the beard was a different color, this would be perfectly okay, but I didn't take that into account when I was planning this. So like I said, I'll adjust it in a bit after this dries. And why am I finishing it? Because I want the consistency to be there. Even though it has some of the blue in here, when I come back to it, I want it to be consistent, okay? So, like I said, I think I'm gonna make, I don't know, I wish you guys were here. I think I might just do some white gloves, white mittens. Haven't decided, I'll let you know. And I'll come back up in here. That's almost dry. Play with that. I could always go with a color that is, you know, not a typical flesh tone, because it's a mythological creature, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. So I could give him a pink nose, like a candy cane pink. And then it would really show up well against that orange beard. So maybe we'll do that. Grab some white, mixing here with my pink. And that blue, it's because I guess I just didn't, you know, again, I'm mixing my colors with my brush as opposed to with a stick or a palette knife, because I want you to see, I want to do it the same way that I know you're going to do it. Okay? So I want to just make sure I have enough. So I'll mix it in. And we'll go for that kind of gnomish candy cane kind of, if you've seen my other gnomes, they have pink noses. And I'm just going to come in here and do this. Yep, I like that better. And as you see, you know, you practice, you change things. It's like life. You think you go in one direction, you have to make adjustments. Yeah, we get pretty philosophical here. Now again, if I was painting with this in front of me, it'd be a lot easier. Okay. So there's it's our gnome nose. Maybe I'll give him the same color hands now. Yep, oh, much different, much better. And again, it's that heart shape. Okay. And I'm coming around this way. And I'm not touching anything over here, but I'm using my finger. My pinky is down. So I have some leverage. Doing it again. See my pinky? It's going to lean on the canvas. Okay, much better. And again, you could let it dry, you can come back, add more. I know some people, seriously, literally, that would have stopped and reshot that whole thing because they didn't want you to see that, you know, they made a mistake or they changed midstream. That's not me. I want you to get the real deal. I want you to understand that, yeah, you change in the middle. Again, this is dry. Always checking first. Okay, so he's really shaping up now. I'm going to wash out my brush really well, because remember I was using it to mix. When you use a brush to mix, sometimes it really gets stuck up in there, and you want to make sure that when you take your brush out, it really is super clean. There's none of that lost paint stuck up in there. Okay, so now I'm going to have to use a little bit of, let me see. I know what I want to do now. I think I want to bring out the black. I'm going to bring out the black. Okay, like I told you, I truly prefer to use it either directly from the pot or on a separate plate, because I don't want it to get mixed up in there. I mean, look how, you see how my plate is really covered. I can guarantee I'd put it in the black by accident. Okay, so I'm coming up here, and again, starting there, bringing it over. I'm going to just make a line and bring it over. It's kind of nice having this nice brush with a fine, sharp edge. And again, if you don't have one, that's fine. You just want to make sure that it covers that light green that I have down there, right? Because that was going to be our guide. And if it doesn't cover completely, that's okay. What I'm doing is I'm bringing it up to the edge. I'm going on the side of my brush and coming up along the gold. Okay? And then I'm going to come back and fill it in. It's black going over a medium to dark color. I'm not going to have to do multiple coats. Just gotta get this on here right now. Okay. All right, so that's the first half. I'm going to just do a nice swipe, a nice clean, even swipe across the edge. Now I'm going to do the inside of our belt buckle. And again, going to come from the corner and bring it over again. See how that shape, by doing it like that, you get that real idea that it's rounded. It's not just a flat piece. And I'm doing the black after the yellow because if I cover over a little bit of yellow, that's fine, but I just prefer to do it this way. Because it's easier to cover the yellow with black than vice versa. Okay, get a little bit more on the brush. And if you want to use a smaller brush, a really tiny brush, by all means, this would be the time to use it. Get up into that corner. Okay. 2/3 of that done. Coming over here, coming straight down. And dragging it over. Coming up. We really want it to go to the end of the green because on this side it's going around. The same with this side, but the hat's coming over it. The band goes all the way around the hat. Okay, and I'm filling it in. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm coming down here and I am going to take a little bit of black and just put it on my plate, pardon my border house reach, as my mom would say. Put it right, where am I going to put it? Oh, this is dry, so I'll put that right there. Okay, and I'm going to take a little bit of the white, small amount, I'm just getting rid of the sharpness of a solid black. You want to use black, by all means, but I'll show you what I'm doing with it. So it's just a gray, a medium gray. Can't really call it dark, can't call it light. A medium gray. You can make it whatever you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give our shoes a sole. Because you see the little bit of the grass went in front of it, and it's not, you know, 100% opaque, so it doesn't look like grass. It just looks a little bit messy. So make sure this is dry. Yep, it's dry. I'm gonna lean on, trying to think if I should turn it upside down. I'm gonna lean on, yeah, let me do it this way. And I'm just going to come over here and give my shoe a sole. Okay, it's not you know, a tremendous difference, but it does take away those little green grass blades. It also gives it a finishing look, so it actually looks like a shoe. I grab some more, come over here, do the same exact thing. You see how I brought it up and around? Because it looks like it's going around the back. Okay, so that's really kind of cool there. We have some soles on our shoes. Where else am I going to, you don't have to think about things. We're really almost done. This is extraordinary. Now, last but not least, if you notice our hat, as it falls over, it has a little point at the end, okay? And what could we possibly put there? We could put a gold piece can hang from there, another shamrock. I don't know. I really haven't decided yet. How about we put maybe a shamrock hanging upside down, okay? This way, it's kind of opposite of this. So I'm gonna take some green. I'm gonna drop down a little because I know the little string's gonna come down here. I'm gonna come to here. Okay, I'm gonna grab some more. Make another circle. Making sure it's dry. Another one on this side. I don't think there's any rules of if your shamrock is upside down or not. It's not like a horseshoe. Another circle here. Okay, so we let that dry. Remember, we did the first one in a few steps. Put this back there. And we like to let it dry up before we put another bit of paint on it, because otherwise we're pulling it off. Come back again. And again, if you prefer to use a small brush, by all means, use a smaller brush. Because remember now, this comes down and out, almost like a corn kernel, if you want something to reference it to. Get a little bit more. Making sure this is dry. Again, I'm not going up near the hat. That would be tragic. Okay, another corn kernel over here. Another corn kernel over here. And I think I'm going to just switch up for a smaller brush right now because it's getting really, really intricate. And you know, if you got it, use it. That's what we say. So I'm going to come back here, grab a little bit more of the green. Always checking. It just becomes habit. It becomes second nature. You'll do it as well. Okay. And again, I'm going to get that little tiny bit of a stem. And instead of bringing it from the top down, I'm going to go from the center of the bottom up. It's a little bit easier that way. Okay, kind of cute, right? So that's all done. I like the way that looks. Good with that, good with that. Up there. Just going to touch on the black. Beautiful. And that's why I say you always want to you never want to smear, you just want to touch gently. Okay, so that I'm happy is done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have some real fun. We're going to add some highlights, and then, ladies and gentlemen, then we are done. Okay, so what am I going to highlight with? I'm going to use white. Got my super thin brush. You can use a toothpick if you really want, you know, if you don't have a brush with a tiny edge or a small section, you can always use it. Like I said, people use a toothpick. So our nose is going to have a little bit of a shine there. And you'll notice I put it on this side. I'm not gonna say left or right because I know we're doing this backwards. It's on one side. Because it's on one side, all other reflections have to come from this side because this is where your light source is, okay? So it's gonna be here and here. And on this side, it's going to be, because it's so far over, it's going to be over here. Maybe come off the top. It's fun, right? I know. Oh, I love this part. And what's great about it is when we do it on our shamrocks, it's really going to show the definition when we do it there. But the front of our shoes tend to have a little bit of a, yeah, you're talking so long, got dry. Okay, so here on the front, and again, it's not straight up and down. Think of it as a comma, a very fat comma. Maybe with another little shine there. Now over here, it's gonna have some shine back here, really, because the feet are going in opposite directions. Maybe it's coming up to here. And on the top, because it's hitting this way, but not as drastic as this one. Okay, coming into here, it's going to go over the, oh, again, I'm sorry. here. My paint is, I'm in a room that is so cold. I actually have a heater on, but because I have the heater on right next to the paint, it tends to be drying it out a little quicker than normal. Okay, I think I'm happy with that now. So now watch this. I'm gonna come over here. It's gonna come this way, this way, and up here. And it's gonna come down this side. So you see how these tiny little things really do make a difference. We're gonna have a little bit, I think, of a little shine on there, maybe. Maybe even a staggered little up there. Okay. Where else do I want one? Oh, let me see if this is dry. It's still a little tacky, so I'm gonna wait about a second or so, okay? Maybe I'll make this a little thicker while I'm waiting. Over here. And it's gonna be on this side. Come down here. Oh, I like this guy. Where else? Any place else maybe? Maybe up here? Top of the hat. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages, we are done. So I hope you enjoyed painting our Leprechaun Gnome today. Now remember, give it a name, give it a backstory. Does it have a family? Does it have pets? Really make it part of the family. Until we meet again, be safe, be blessed, and remember, art is everything. Bye.